Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Anikmah Teny Wijaya. I am a second semester student of English Education Department at Jambi University. So in this video, I would like to retell the material about the video Speak Like You Are Playing Video Game by Mariana Pascal. So Mariana Pascal is a trainer through speaking English. She has been helping Malaysia and Southeast Asian to better in speak English. In that occasion, she told there's any people who have a very low level of English, but they can communicate it very well. One of them that Marianne remember is a student, a participant named Faisal. He was a factory supervisor who has a English level very low, but Faisal could just sit and listen to anybody very calmly, clearly, and then he could respond, absolutely express his thoughts beautifully at a very low English level. So Mariana told us that she was wondering what is so different about people like Faisal, how they do it, and why this is so important. So first of all, about what is so different and how people like Faisal do it. To answer that question, Mariana tell us back about 10 years ago about her doctor who playing piano when she hated it. Mariana started to notice two really strong similarity between her doctor's attitude or thinking towards playing the piano and a lot of Malaysian thinkings or attitude towards English. First of all, was filled with sort of dread. She was thinking about it was all about not screwing up. Because a lot of piano student and also teacher, her success in piano was measured by how few mistakes she made. At the same time, Mariana noticed that a lot of Malaysians went to English conversation with the same sort of feeling of dread. The sort of feeling that they were going to be judged by how many mistakes they were going to make and whether or not they were going to screw up. The second similarity was to do with self-image. A lot of Malaysian people had this idea of what good proper English is supposed to sound like and what their English sounds like and how far they would have to go to get there. But Mariana still couldn't figure it out. What is about people like Faisal so different and can just do it smoothly, calmly, with confidence? Mariana discovered it by any chance. She told us that was a day when her computer broke down and she had to go to cyber cafe. The place were filled with boys, and they are all playing noisy, violent games. When she sat down and she noticed a guy beside her who playing a game that basically like a shooting people until they die. And she's noting that this guy is not very good. What really interests her was behind this lousy player, where three of his friends sort of standing there watching him play. What Mariana really noticed was even though the guy was terrible, even though his friends were watching him, there was no embarrassment. There was no feeling of being judged. There was no silence. In fact, quite the opposite. This guy totally focused on the bad guy's smile in his face, and all he can think about is killing those guys. And Mariana is watching him, and she suddenly realized that's it. That's the same attitude that people like Faisal have when they speak English. When Faisal goes into an English conversation, he doesn't feel judged. He is entirely focused on the person that he is speaking to and the result he wants to get. He got no self-awareness, no talk about his own mistakes. Mariana wants to share a real, true example to paint a picture somebody who speaks English. Like they are playing a computer game a while ago, playing in a computer game. And then a while ago, Mariana was in a pharmacy. She had to buy Omega, and she had to go to shelf. There's a ton of Omega. There's oh my god that's hike in DHA, oh my god that's hike in EPA, and Mariana doesn't know which one to buy. The sales rep happened to be there. Her eyes go all white. It is sort of that panic. Mariana go up to her and she was explaining her situation. The sales was speaks very quietly. Goes all around in circle, and when she finished, Mariana have no idea what to buy. So Mariana was turned to the girl behind the counter. She heard her before. Her English level is very low, but when Mariana walked over to her, the girl was no fear. It's in fact she just joking. She just looking. So Mariana was go up to her and explain the problem, EPA and DHA. She is simply looking at Mariana and then simply explain about what kind of omega that Mariana should get. And after her simple answer, problem solved. So we got conclusion that there is any two different kind of communicator. The one who get a high level but totally focused on herself and getting it right and therefore very ineffective. Another one low level, totally focused on the person she's talking to and getting a result, effective. Now why it is so important? We could look at all of the English conversation in the whole world. We will see that every native speaker, there are 5 non-native speakers. And if we would listen to every conversation in English right now, we will notice that 96% of those conversations involve non-native English speaker. Only 4% of those conversations are native speaker to native speaker. It is not an art to be mastered. It is just a tool to use to get a result. And Mariana was told a real-life example of what English is today in the world. Mariana was at a barbecue a little while ago, a barbecue place for engineers from all over the world, and they were making hot dogs. Some of hot dogs were regular hot dogs, and some were there is a cheese hot dog, where the cheese in the middle. A French engineer is cooking the hot dogs and he turned to this Korean engineer and he said, "Would you like a hot dog?" And the Korean guy said, "Yes, please." He said, "Do you want the cheese?" And the Korean guys look around on the table and he says, "I see no cheese." The French guy says, "The hot dog is contains the cheese." The Korean guy doesn't understand him. So the French engineer tries again. "The hot dog is making from with the cheese." Korean guy still doesn't understand. He tries again. He said the hot dog is coming from the cheese is coming from the hot dog. Korean guys can understand. Now there is a Japanese engineer who have been listening to this conversation turned to the Korean engineer and he said, cheese integrator. He understand. Everybody understand. So this is what English is today. It's just a tool to play around with to get a result like a computer game. Now, the challenge is that we know in school all around the world, English is not really being taught like it is a tool to play with. It is still being taught like it is an art to master, and students are judged more on correctness than on clarity. The problem that I see here over and over is that people take the attitude they develop about English in school and they bring it into their adult life and into their work. And if you are in stressful situation and you are having a conversation, you are trying to give a result to someone and say it correctly, your brain multitask, it cannot do two things at once. And what I see is the brain just shutting down. 3 symptoms of the brain shutting down is, the first one is that your listening goes. Someone is talking to you and you are budgeting about how you are going to respond and express yourself correctly. You didn't actually hear what the other person said. The second thing to go is your speaking. Your mind sort of shutdowns and that vocabulary just disappears and the words don't come out. The third thing to go is your confidence. The worst things about is you may only be unconfident because you can express yourself too clearly, but to the person talking to you, they might misunderstand this as lack of confidence in your ability to do the job, to perform. So if you want to speak English like Faisal with that great confidence, here's the one thing you can do. When you speak, don't focus on yourself. Focus on other person and the result you want to achieve. Let's remember that English today is not an art to be mastered. It's just a tool to use to get a result, and that tool belongs to you. So I think guys, this is all that I could retell to you. I hope you understand and enjoy my video. Thanks for watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.